Hey Olga, hey team. Hope you guys are doing great. Um, Thanks for sending everything over. Finally getting some time, so I'll try to knock out a bunch of things right now. So first thing up is the dev site on the homepage. Um, I don't know how much you want me to kind of go through here and leave notes because again, I don't know like how far along we are in the process. Like if you're saying like generally how does this look, or if you're really like, hey, this is finished, now critique it and make sure everything is correct on the pages. So because I don't know that, I'm just gonna critique it like everything is finished, because I don't want to tell you, hey, generally this is fine, then you post it and everything's like, then later on we like figure out it wasn't. So um yeah, okay, so couple things. This looks pretty good. I think the again, I'm on a I'm on a big screen, but I'm trying to kind of represent what it would be like on a laptop or something like that. So I've kind of moved it the browser in just a little bit so that it isn't full screen on my huge monitor. And I think this is pretty much what you would be seeing if you were looking on it on like a normal size screen, normal size window, something like that. Um, I like pretty much how it all looks. I think there's most of my critiques really just comes down to like polish, just like little things. For me, I think this is really cool, but it was also kind of described to me as well, like as kind of like having a shimmering effect. Um, and there's like nothing really happening here. It's just like looks like it's just loaded, and that's just a gradient that just load on the page, but it's not actually kind of like changing color or kind of giving that sort of underwater look to it. So there's just like a polish thing here where this is kind of missing. I think it's supposed to be like kind of playing on the letters a little bit. Um, I like the texture on the buttons, like the little dots and stuff. It's cool. It's a nice like and all um, the logos look pretty great for with the right like tags on them and everything. So that's good. I mean, there's a few things here. I think Sauce Labs is developer, not enterprise. Um, And then I would say, like, for this logo here, if you're able to get, that was the Campaign Monitor logo. If you could get their full name, Campaign Monitor logo, as opposed to that just little baby one, I think that would help because some people just are not going to recognize it. Um, and in terms of like the other little like sort of nitpick things, it's like, for example, this one should say Campaign Monitor, but there's some that are like kind of on a different, most of them look pretty good. Like they're on, it looks like the same plane, but then other things like the Circle CI one, the Circle CI looks lower than the Vanta. And then the Kava looks lower than the super layer. Like these should all be on one line. The Tenstorrent doesn't look like it's on the same line as browser base. And I get that they all can't be the same font size, but they should all be on the same horizontal plane. And then the other thing that this is kind of like something I want to see changed for sure is I don't like that they just sit on the very edge bottom of the page without any sort of padding underneath. Like this should be moved up a little bit so that there's equal padding, hopefully around all four sides. Like I'll leave it to the design team to figure out the padding, but this to me looks unfinished and kind of weird. Um, and then just like some other stuff where it's like there's just little things, right? Like when you see really high sort of quality websites, the fading into the darkness on the edges and coming out of a fade. And these are not that complicated things, but it's just like they're little things that I think would make it all better. Um, in general, though, I think this all looks pretty good. I'd love to kind of know like how you guys feel about the roundedness of the menus. Oh, this is cool. I like this. Um, yeah, I like this kind of light up thing. It's nice. Um, yeah, but I was just gonna ask you, like, because it seems like for some we go with like these really rounded corners. Others are kind of like slightly curved. And just from a design perspective, we'd just love to know what like the team thinks about kind of mixing and matching, like having these like strong, heavy curvature versus just like having one kind of sort of similar one throughout all the site. Whatever you guys think looks best, but I did want to just kind of bring that up to talk about it. But yeah, this looks cool. Um, and I think these are like the old images here, um, but they should be the new ones that got done wherever they are, down here somewhere. Like these things should be the new. Whoa, hold on, sorry. These ones should be the new ones that we're using for the menu. And yeah, it would be. Do you think it would be cool to use those same shapes? Like you could literally, instead of just having like a square one, you could recreate and just like drop in those really cool shapes that have already been created. Like you could drop that in, you could drop this in. Just an idea that would make it pretty, I think, pretty unique as you kind of went through. Each thing would kind of have a different shape to it with a different, with cool image. Okay, so that's it for this section. So then moving down into this one, um, yeah, I mean, I think so. Obviously, it's not working, um, so there's nothing to really comment on there. But like, uh, I think from my, if my memory serves me, there's like, I think there's 4 stats, not 3. So we might be missing one of the stats. Um, and I don't know that it was 100-month average partnership. I think these are placeholder numbers. Obviously, there's not 1,000 countries in the world, so some of these things are not correct, and I assume this page is just sort of unfinished. But what I would say is that like I'm a big fan of like having everything fit neatly into like the window of like this whatever you like. If you scroll into a new section, I don't want half of it to be like hanging off the page. And so obviously we're going to move this up, but this is a perfect representation of like what it should be. This is, section 1 or whatever you want to call it. When you get here, it's kind of like I would assume this is about the max people are going to scroll. They're not going to really scroll to that point. So this is kind of where you're at. And then it's like the thing isn't really uh, like this is actually really important to what's happening right here. Like 10 years, 9 unicorns, here's what that looks like. These cannot be separated. This can't be like, oh, you have to scroll past this to see this. This is really cool. I would make this all smaller so that we could get everything into one section where you don't have to scroll past the header to see the bottom, because now to see the bottom, you can't see the header. So that's my feedback for this thing here. Obviously, it'll get fixed. Yeah, other things like this is obviously not the correct people. We should be using the real people, not the AI for this stuff here. This is, I'm not the CMO at Density, so that's not correct. I would say like little things, like why not figure out a way, and again, I don't know if this is something that happens. It looks like the text doesn't really wrap. Um, but like get it all on 3 lines evenly or just 2 lines. And I'm assuming you'd want to do 3 and 3 because each side it should have the right symmetry. But in that case, then yeah, I don't know, we need to add some words or something. You can tell me if you, I mean, you can call this stuff out in Figma if you say, hey, could you give me a few more words so we make this thing like look side by side equal. Um, Happy to do it. I think I can't tell if I'm imagining something or if this is literally this. Is this perfectly straight? Okay, maybe it is. It's like an optical illusion. Okay, so for this video, it's cool that it starts up like this, but my only thing is like, one, you guys took the sound off and replaced it with some other soundtrack.
We share everything, every media list, everything.
It sounds almost like a spa or something, but I had this kind of cool lo-fi beat. The video I shared is what I want to use. Like that's the music I want. So I don't want this, whatever this is, soundtrack wise. But I think that the one question I have is like, so, you know, when I kind of came through this the first time I ever did, it was like you saw me talking, right? But there's no way to rewind it. And so like by the time the person kind of comes in, gets their lay of the land, maybe let's say it takes them 3 to 4 seconds. They're just reading this, they read this, they read this, and then they're like, okay, what's this about? By the time they click into this,
out because they saw you in the news.
you have no context for what I'm saying at all. I wonder if there's a way where it's like the moment somebody clicks the sound like icon, if the video could just like fade out and then fade in immediately to the like the beginning of that video. Because otherwise it's like you miss the first like 15 seconds, 10 seconds, even 5 seconds, it doesn't matter. You're missing the main opening lines. And so you kind of come in with no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So, yeah, I'd love to see like, and then because there's no way to rewind it here with any control, it doesn't really work. But this, I would say what I like about all of this is, I love this. This is all super cool. It would be nice to just have, again, a little bit of that sort of final polish, you know, this sort of, if this thing is slightly shimmering and changing color and playing on the letters, that like in other parts of the site that you kind of get that as well. Like there could be very subtle, I'm not talking about like lots of flashy movement, but like just enough that you kind of feel like the site is alive and you are experiencing something. It's, again, it's not a big thing to do this. It's very, very simple, but it to me feels like it's the ultimate like kind of finishing touch, right? That makes everything feel good. So I'd love to see what other things we could do here, just a little bit. But in general, I like this because it all kind of fits on one scrollable section. So this is cool. Okay, so when we get here, so I don't know. This is too far, like it's too far off to the sides. Like when I'm coming down, it's hard to read that, right? They become the stow, and then you're like, what is that story? Your brain does fill it in. And I get maybe you guys put it all the way off to the left here because if you did move it over to the center, you wouldn't be able to really see it with that gradient coming through here. But it's too, this is sort of awkward having these things way off. So I would sort of brainstorm here a new tactic here. Either make this dark black and then move this down or whatever so that this is like on black and not on gradient. Or if you like the idea of the gradient here and keeping this, maybe you put this on 2 lines, like they became the story and the story sits underneath they became. And then all cases, it just feels really left off in the middle of nowhere over here. It should be closer to this. I don't know, or both of them should be closer together, or I don't know, just all the way off to the edges and not really being able to read this. That doesn't really work super well. When it comes to this looks pretty great. yeah, I don't really have any like critiques of this. This looks fantastic. This is super cool. I love that it sort of gets fades. I love the mouse. You get a little bit of movement on stuff. This is super cool. And you got the right people in, you got the right quotes. I assume these are the right quotes. I've not checked this, but this is the right person for the right company for Arable. Um, these are the right logos. So yeah, like I don't this the only thing about this one is this is cut off. It's Los Angeles Business Journal, but I do hear you on probably that's just too long to fit there. Maybe look for like an alternate for that particular logo. They also go by LA Business Journal or LABJ. So you could potentially swap that one in for a different one. That'd be great. Um, but yeah, I think here's the thing. I can't actually read the up here because against the silver, it's impossible. All I can see is build ops at unicorn status. Then the governor showed you can't see up at all. So there's just like little things like this where this should be on another line. Like we should create the edge of the text so that it's not getting lost in the thing. And this is the kind of stuff where, um, yeah, it's like minor, but it's like kind of important still. So, and again, I don't know how much to, like that doesn't look good. I don't know if, again, if this is just because it's a dev site, if it's not optimized yet, but like from a scroll smooth standpoint, all this is looking good. And then you get here. And it's like, whoa, all of a sudden it goes from like, 120 frames a second into this, which is like really off-putting and does not look good. It looks choppy almost. So, and I have the same kind of feedback here is that when you get, we shouldn't be making from a user experience standpoint, words hard to read against stuff. And then this is interesting. So this just loaded right now as I was talking to you, but it's clearly like chopping up. So there's some work to do on the dev side on this one for sure. Like, you can see the logos are not coming in from this side. You can see this thing's kind of causing it to freak out a little bit. But my main thing is like, if you're going to have text, don't have it fall into an area that makes things hard to see. It's difficult to read that. And it's not hard to push text over a little bit more. I'm sure you guys will figure it out, whatever. Yeah, so that's something going on there. But anyways, moving into the next section. Yeah, these look great. I wonder, yeah, this is super cool. I think I would prefer though, there was something weird there. Did you see that? Yeah, it's sort of glitching out a little bit. So take a look at the dev stuff on that. Yeah, the site's just still a little buggy, but I would love it if this is the point at which the thing starts to scroll to the left, not down. And then like, I want this part to be in frame when the things start scrolling. Like ideally, it'd be cool if it pins here and then it goes across. Yeah, cool. All right. Cool. I mean, there's some stuff again. Um, I don't know if like it's just because this is a dev site, it's early, but I did notice there was some glitching. I mean, you can go back and watch it right now. When I scrolled into the ready to stop managing your agency thing, it like kind of stuttered a little bit. So, yeah, this is cool. Um, again, can we just do something where we separate this from this a little bit? Like, I don't know if you were to just take that little, this thingy and like just move this down a little bit so that the actual button has, I don't love that it's flowing behind the button. I like just kind of want it to be, uh, you know, not colliding with other stuff. A little misspelling on the salient here, missing the T, but this is cool. I like the, I like how they're all kind of bouncing around and stuff. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, one thing is, yeah, I noticed that like this wasn't loaded until you got to the bottom. Was there a reason for that instead of just keeping it always loaded like the footer instead of like fading into it? I think if you reach this point and you scroll down, we don't need to have like a fade in. This could just be like a permanent, like this is always just there. And then the other thing too is, you know, we have more sectors than this here. I think there might be like 15 or 20. It's just these are probably the ones that are just on the homepage because these are the most like, I think maybe even not. Are these the full list? I don't think so. No, because I don't see fintech and stuff. So there's this list, which is, yeah, I think maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But then there's the full list, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But there's probably another 5 more. So we would maybe need 2 columns for the expertise side, and then again, Olga, you could probably find all this in Slack. I know I've mentioned this, so you can find the full list there. And maybe a little bit more padding over here. I just think like we could use a little bit of polish on the footer. Like this is a little bit too close to the edge. Could use a little bit more over. And maybe make this gradient a little bit darker so that these things are a little bit easier to read. Like this is easier to read on my eyes over here in this kind of area here than this is over here. This kind of blends in. So just trying to balance that kind of like coolness with like readability. Okay, so that's feedback for the homepage. So I guess I'll just stop this here and create a new video for the next one so you guys don't have to figure out which one's which.